Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Traitors Reunion, and our new host, co-host Mason is with us.
Hello.
Mason Andy Cohen. Welcome.
Mason, who do you want to let in? Who do you want to let into breakfast first?
Oh my God! Can I see the waiting room?
No, you can't.
Wait, I'm gonna make you co-host.
A woman.
I'm gonna make Mason co-host.
A woman. But yes, welcome Specs and welcome viewers. Oh, I have to tweet the link. Mason, that's part of your job now as co-host of the reunion. You have to tweet the link.
Yep, and now you get to let them in one at a time. So pick the person you want to let in first for most dramatic effect.
Yeah,
Okay.
You can let them in like breakfast.
Oh my gosh, okay. This is great. It's giving me all my power I wish I had while we were playing.
Can you pick a trade?
What's up, traitor?
Hello, Carla.
Welcome to the reunion, Carla.
Hi.
Now, before we let everyone else in, would you like to apologize to Mason?
I'm sorry, I will try to fight for you to say.
You did? You were the only one.
I was like, I think BJ or Mike, but I have no power.
It's okay. I forgive you.
All right, I'm letting everyone else in.
Do it.
Oh, I liked letting Mason do it. Okay.
Welcome everyone to the Traitors Reunion. We have a lot of the cast here tonight, and some even more will be on their way. You are all looking absolutely gorgeous. Let's highlight some of your looks before we get in. I'm thinking Ingenious, you're looking amazing. Who are you wearing? You're
muted.
Well, it's giving the devil wears Prada. You know what I'm saying? Because it's business time tonight.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing a great look from Stu. Stu, where did you get that sweatshirt?
Kmart.
Kmart is
Yeah,
not a sponsor, so we cannot continue talking about them. But yes, no, you all look amazing, and I want this to go like as smooth as we can, so I don't want everyone talking over each other. We will have a question for all of you. You will all have the chance to speak, but obviously you can ask each other questions as well. And viewers, if you're watching, if you send 50 bits or more, we will mute everyone immediately and ask your question, and your question will be answered.
Also, Hayden is here for not very long, I'm assuming. So Hayden, if you want to direct any questions towards other Hayden right now, he's here.
Yes, he's here briefly. So if you have a question for him, go
with
ahead.
his wine. Does everyone have questions for? Okay.
You played amazing, Hayden. You should be very proud. It was so good. You were like I can't believe that you were so quiet, and we were all just like, no, it's just Hayden. It was crazy. It was like you didn't say anything, and we were like, nah, it's fine. A couple of people pointed out, but yeah, I kept being like, no, he would probably talk more if he was a traitor. So yeah, it was good. It was awesome. You played great.
Thank you. Well, I do want to say that I'm a part of a wedding party right now, so I'm also a little inebriated. But thank you so much, Alex. I love seeing you, Arena. I'm so sorry you couldn't make it with us. That breaks my heart.
No, I was just happy to see you.
Could have.
She could have.
Hayden, who was your most difficult kill?
Mason, because I felt like I had to kind of convince Carla and Rena to do it with me. And also it was the one that kind of sucked the most. Everybody else was like, okay, but murdering Mason kind of hurt because I really like him and I would hang out with him any day of the week. So that one personally was that's the one that was just like, I don't like this, even though I think it benefits me the most. I just didn't like it.
I hated
Also,
that
because
one.
Danny guilted you the most on that one. And if you watch,
Well,
if you join the Patreon, you can see the guilt trip.
the guilting was after they made their decision. There was no rigging. It was after they decided. I just made them look Mason in the camera's eye and apologize to him. But yes, that is on the Patreon. Hayden, another question some fans have been speculating about is if you were in that tie with Alex instead of Irina, would you have caved or would you have went out?
I would have went out. I just think that Arena put in too much hard work. I wouldn't have settled for her. And
would you settle for Carla?
No, just because I know that Carla also was stressed, and initially Carla did not want to even accept being a traitor. So I know that just her accepting and playing along made me not, like, I know that put her through enough that she put in some work too, and she had to lie. Like, even though that she didn't really want to do it. So I wouldn't have done that to either of them. I would have done exactly what Arena did, and I would have just went out.
Thank you, Hayden.
Jayla cheered 100 bits, said, Arena, beautiful as always. Thank you, Jayla. Hayden, I have a question for you because I felt like you, out of all the traitors, I was expecting to maybe see a change in you once you got recruited as a traitor, and I feel like you were just very level from not traitor to traitor, and I think that's why no one ever caught you. Did you feel a difference, or do you feel like did you personally feel a difference, or
To be honest, I just kept trying to be myself. I kept doing exactly what I was doing because that's why I think that Mitch and Arena wanted to recruit me. I was able to just be chill, laid back. I'm just looking cute with my glass of wine, as Stu said. That's all that I came here to do, which obviously was not the truth. But I just tried to play it the best I could in a relaxed manner, I guess. Like, I didn't feel a change in my demeanor. I felt a change mentally because it was so hard to have all these people pushing evidence on me that is so true. And not only would, I have to lie about it, but I would also have to point fingers at other people knowing that I had no basis to do that at all. So.
Also, the night Stu said that was the night you were recruited that night. So that was
Which made it so funny. That was the funniest moment for me. I love that so much.
And I don't want to monopolize all the time with Hayden, so I am going to move on because I do want to highlight Johnny. Actually, I would call her the absolute best traitor hunter, even though she was only there the first night, maybe 10 minutes after the show. She said the traitors were Jack, Irina, and Madak. And then the next night, she's like, now it's Mitch. She knew absolutely everything. And I do want to ask, do you think if you stayed longer, you would have clocked Hayden and Carla, or were they misting you?
I think I would have, to be honest, only because I know what it's like to be recruited. And so I sensed that there was a little bit of, even though people said there was no shift in Hayden, there was one night that you put that wine glass down, and I'm pretty sure that was after you were recruited, babes. So I feel like I would have been able to detect that from you a little bit. And I did mention it in the Twitch chat that I was like, Hayden's a little too quiet. I did throw your name out there a little bit. I was trying to hint you possibly, but I think I would have caught you. And I do feel like Carla, I would have been able to suss you out a little bit too, because you started getting a lot nervous at the end, and you were overthinking your decisions, especially for the round table. So I think for me personally, the way I was able to clock Madak, Arena, and Jack was because of the fact that, remember my audio? I could barely hear you guys. So I was watching body languages, and I just felt like those three looked the most nervous to me. I said it in my DR. I just gave off you guys needed to take a little poo energy. So that was why you three were my names. And so I did clock. I mean, things happen in the game where you start to see people do certain things. Little Stu was a little sus there. I definitely think he was playing for the traitors and stuff like that. So I did shift a little bit. But originally, I went off of body language, and that's how I was able to catch them.
And I do give credit to the traitors. I think people thought they played a great game by blending in, but I actually think the strongest moves that the traitors made were who they killed. They were really killing the people onto them. They somehow knew exactly who to kill each night, and I want to highlight 2 kills that I think were people that were becoming onto them in Callie and Isai. And do either of you regret being so vocal as a traitor hunter, and do you think that you could have changed something to stay a little longer, being a little more quiet, or are you happy you got out the way you did?
Callie, go first.
Sure. So I don't know that there was any avoiding. Like, as soon as I threw Mitch's name out on whatever night that was, and then, like, the next night there was the big, like, argument, like, even during, not argument, but, like, going against each other, even during that, the whole time I'm thinking, okay, like, either they vote me out tonight and I am not a traitor, or Mitch goes, he is a traitor, and then I go tomorrow. Like, I'm killed. So, like, at the point when me and Mitch were going at each other, like, I knew my game was over. I don't know that I regret it, though. I don't know that I regret being so vocal about it, because I came into the game knowing that I wanted to, like, contribute, and I feel like I did that to a certain extent. I was sad to go when I did, and I literally said the rest of the traitors in my DR the night that, like, after Mitch went, I was like, these are the other traitors, and I was like, but it doesn't matter. Like, I'm dead. So, I don't really regret it, but I do wish maybe I could have done something a little bit differently, just to stay longer, because I was having so much fun.
Yeah, I was scared of Callie for sure. After the Mitch thing, I was like, she has got to go for sure.
I was scared too. Go ahead, Isai.
With mine, I think I wasn't really onto them. I was more like, I was putting wood in the fire of other people. Like, I was like, when I was hardcore, like, oh, I think Mike and Keisha are traitors, like, I was going hardcore. And I'm like, if I'm dead, look at these 2. And I think they saw that I was doing that. That they'd be like, oh, let's kill Isai, so them can, like, not be focused on them. So I feel like that's why I got killed. And I think that's kind of a smart move, because I was so hard on that. And like, 2 nights in a row, like, Mike was on the board to leave. So, like, that was a good way for them to, like, camouflage themselves throughout the whole time. But I don't know if I would regret anything. I think I regret, like, not really, like, looking into everything. But overall, I think I had a lot of fun.
And now I do want to talk to Arena, because I do think, even though she didn't win, this was kind of her season. I know that it might not be clear about that, but she was the original traitor, had a big hand in every single murder, every single banishment, every single recruitment, and she was so close to winning. So we're here to ask, do you have any regrets, or you feel good about how you ended, or what do you think?
Yeah, so obviously, like, I do think I made a crucial error the last kill. In my head, I thought I had Mike more, so that was kudos to him. And I thought that I had to keep BJ in for that last banishment. So I really didn't want to kill Mason, because I did think that he trusted that I was a faithful. So I do think I wonder what would have happened had I kept him. I think he was on to Hayden, but he wasn't on to me. So who knows? But either way, I'm happy how it turned out. I just wanted my traitors to win. That's all I cared about. So no regrets.
Hayden, do you want to ask a question? Or you want me to just keep firing?
If I come up with a good one, I'll ask it. But, well, yeah. You can keep going. Keep going. I'll interrupt you if I have a good one.
And just so you know, I prepared none of this. I'm just...
I felt like you prepared them. Okay, that's why I was, like, letting you go.
No, I have absolutely nothing prepared, and my computer is dying because it's not my computer. But, no, I have questions for everyone just because I'm going with it. Okay, Mason... you were someone that was talked about a lot this season and a lot in the Twitch chat, and I mean this in like I don't mean this in a negative way, but do you feel you could have been not looking harshly enough at the people that you were friends with, or do you feel like that's what you wanted to do and it didn't matter, you wanted to be to the end either way with the people you trusted, traitors or not?
I think it was a mixture of both. There was no points that I was like, I don't think, like, there was not a point where I would have been like, there's no way Arena's not a traitor. It was genuinely, she had me missed it. Like, truthfully, she had me completely. There was multiple points at the end of the night in the 5-minute breakout rooms that we got after where it would be just me and Arena. I don't know if it was on stream ever, but it was just me and Arena, and that bitch looked me in the eyes and I believed it. Like, it wasn't the fact that I don't think I was like looking at my friends or that I wanted to just be with them. I think it was just the fact that like I'm easily misted and Arena got me real good. Like I would have, if it came down to it, I said to Arena after the game, I was like, if I was a traitor, I'd have killed you. Like, it's not that. I think it's just a different
Mason, there was one good friend that you did turn on, and that was Keisha.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand your suspicions of Keisha, but I'm just giving Keisha, do you have anything you want to say to Mason?
I mean, I did tell Mason this after the game was over. I thought Mason was a faithful, not because all of Mason's actions, but I was like, if Mason is a traitor, Mason's killing me as soon as Mason gets recruited, or if Mason was an OG traitor, I would have been dead. Yes. Mason would kill me because Mason knows I would figure it out and I would go after Mason. Like, we have no problem going after each other. And so I was just like, Mason was the only other person in the cast who I was like, Mason is a faithful and I will go to the end with Mason. And that's the only person who I would be willing to go all the way to the end with without trying to banish. And that was just because I was like, Mason absolutely will kill me if Mason is a traitor. There's no way Mason's going to leave me in this game as a faithful to let me detect that he is a traitor and allow me to talk and get him out. And so that's why I knew that Mason was for sure a faithful compared to everybody else. Like, I had my suspicion for 2 seconds and I was like, yeah, no way. And I was okay with Mason taking me out. I was like, you know, it's a game. It's all right. But I'm like, you should know better by now that I'm a faithful, because I also would have taken Mason out.
And I do want to highlight that I think something the specs didn't see was I was in those rooms with just Mason and Arena alone almost every single night. And she was putting on a show for him, like a special show that other people were not getting that level of missed. And I don't want to expose Arena's DRs, but towards the end, she was like, I had to kill Mason because I was just so sick of gaslighting him to death. And I
did not want to deal with it at the finale. I was like, I can't do this anymore with Mason. Like, yeah, it was bad.
Well, we started the game with everybody in one room, and me, Carla, Mason, and Arena were the only ones who broke off into a room with just the 4 of us. And we looked around and somebody said, oh, well, obviously we're all faithfuls and all the traitors are in that big room. And I agreed. I didn't agree because I was honestly telling the truth. I agreed because I'm like, clearly the traitors will separate and one of the people in this room has to be a traitor. But I don't care who it is at this point, because if we all think we're faithfuls and there is a traitor in this room, my hope is you'll keep me alive until I figure out which one of you it is.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being Arena. I had no idea who it was until like way mid-game. And it was Alex who pointed the finger at Arena, and I was like, that checks out. So, I can believe it.
This is actually...
I'm going to let Alex point the finger at Arena, but Alex didn't do it, and that made me think Alex was a traitor.
That's something I was thinking about, that like the traitors would spread out in different breakout rooms.
You ask questions.
Yes, thank you. I was thinking about that, like, would the traitors, I mean, everyone was talking about they would probably spread out, like they wouldn't want to be in the same room, and I was trying to see, when someone brought that up, I was trying to see if that was true, and 90% of the time, they were trying to be in different rooms. Like, sometimes there was 2 of them, but they're never all 3 of them in one room. So, Faithfuls, next, if we do this again, like, that might be something you look at. Because I think there was only one time where I was in a room with Hayden and Arena, and I think that was on finale, maybe it was the night before, and I accidentally, I was like, I wish I had stayed because I had already clicked to leave another room, like, oh, I kind of want to see what their acting skills would be in that situation. But but other than that, I don't think there's another time that I was really in a room with only traitors. So traitors, I guess, like, did you think about that at all? Or did it kind of just happen subconsciously?
Definitely. We just wanted to make sure we were hearing what both rooms were saying, you know, at all times to see, like, where the targets were going. So we would try to split up for sure. I feel like I would end up with Hayden a lot because we would be trying to work with like Mike and Mason, and then Carla was kind of more off with like BJ, Alex. So it just kind of naturally happened like that too. So it worked out.
I have another question I had was Mitch. The night before you got banished, you were really worried that you were going to be banished. You were all talking about that. And originally your idea was to kill. I think it was to kill Callie, right? Because Callie mentioned you, and you want to do like a reverse psychology thing. Do you regret not doing that? And Faithfuls, do you think that would have worked if he had done that? Because he did come pretty close to convincing you all that night.
I think I needed Callie as the person to put blame on. There wasn't anybody else, I think, that was as pronounced a name at that point that I could potentially put the target on. And my first instinct was to kill Callie just because the whole like frame kind of look. But then talking about doing Johnny instead also fit the getting framed scenario and leaving me a huge person like Callie that I had a lot more like sus looking evidence that I used to try to get as many people on board as possible. I think without Callie there, it would have been a landslide, and I would have told them Hayden and Arena to vote me out in that instance. To be totally honest, because there was no shot if I didn't have Callie.
So Faithfuls, I don't know if you can remember your thinking in that far back, but do you think if Callie had died, you would have thought it was Mitch still?
Well, I don't know, but because Callie, I mean, the thing that was crazy about it was the reason I almost believed Mitch was not because of Mitch, it was because of Stu. I mean, Stu was the one pushing to all of us that it was Callie. So I was like, oh, maybe that was the only thing that made me think, oh, Stu is probably working, which is why I think all of us started to think that Stu is a traitor.
If Callie,
go ahead, Mitch.
If Callie had been murdered, then I would have been going hard at Mitch.
Sure.
100%. Yeah.
I thought it was Mitch before Callie said it was Mitch the night we went after Jesse. I just didn't say anything because I didn't want to be a target for the traitors.
Me too.
So I came into the next night because I told him in my DR, I was like, well, dang it, I didn't want to go for Mitch this soon, but it's going to be out there. We got to do it. So I came into the next night like, good, if they push Mitch, I'm voting for Mitch. But I still that night wasn't hardcore, like, go after Mitch. I was just playing it subtle. So again, the traitors wouldn't come for me hard and they would go for all those people who were like more vocal about it. But I absolutely was voting for Mitch.
Okay. Makes sense. I mean...
Hey, hey y'all. So we're getting kicked out of this venue and we're moving to another one. So I just wanted to quickly interject and say I have had so much fun. Being a traitor was hard. Yeah, any last questions or anything before I go?
I just want to say,
did you really keep me alive because you love me?
I do love you, but also the reason that I kept you alive is because your name was always out there, and you were someone that you know anybody could push at any second. So like having you in the game feature was someone that I think would potentially maybe not push me, but I think killing you would have just been stupid. So I'm very glad that you lasted as long as you did. Yeah, it worked.
It worked.
I was so proud to have recruited you and watch you kick ass the second week. I think I was the luckiest because I got to watch this like actual like the show because I didn't know if it was Alex or Carla that you guys recruited. That was the only thing I didn't know, but watching it in that other sense of like rooting for you guys, I was so happy and so proud, and just Hayden, watching you grow as a player from where you started to now. I'm so happy and proud for you.
Oh, that means so much, Mitch. Thank you.
You got it. I love you. You did so good. I was so impressed. Yeah, you're Cersei Lannister the entire time with your wine glass, just murdering everyone and no one looking your direction. It was just, it was perfection. I was so proud. Except for a few, yeah. But then you just killed them or brushed them aside.
I mean, I looked his direction. I just didn't want to vote him out. I was just like, it's Hayden. If he's keeping me alive, I'm not saying anything.
I was on Hayden the entire game.
Like, in my DR, Hayden was the second name in my suspicion list.
It says suspicion list had 11 names.
No, but the top names were the ones that were important. Hayden was there the whole time.
Well, I do want to bring up the suspicion list because, well, it was a lot of names. You had two, but one of the people left off was a traitor, which was Arena. At least the original one.
Until the end.
Yeah, until the end. But, or Danny, what were you gonna say? But
I was gonna ask a question to Stu. I felt of all the people that were targeted for banishment, you were the only one that I honestly feel people thought you were a traitor just for who you are as a person and as a person in this community and as a like. I don't think you actually did anything out of character or suspicious. You were just being, to me, classic Stu. I didn't know if you wanted to touch on that experience.
Well, I mean, yes, it was frustrating to watch back the first episode, and before traitors were even chosen, the entire chat was saying Stu's a traitor. And probably Meaty said it too, but and then he said it in his DR. But the issue was that every single person who was targeted because they were saying names was a faithful. The traitors weren't saying names. That was the mistake that was made. And everyone made that mistake. As I made the mistake with Callie, and then everyone made the mistake with me. And the way the traitors played was perfect because they didn't have to say names. They just kept it to people who were trying to have fun and figure out the traitors. But as a result, we weren't very good at it. But yeah, I mean, it was certainly frustrating to to realize at this point, especially after watching the Patreon, and by the way, watch it because it's very interesting. Like, I had no effect or chance in this game whatsoever from the first second, and that sucked a little bit. But like, it's all in fun, and I had a good time, so all good.
I do want to add an addendum to that because I think, there were traitors that said names, but those were the ones that got banished early on. Yeah, like Matic definitely said names. Mitch.
Yeah, Matic ruined it for everyone.
Mitch.
Yeah.
Mitch. Can I just expose Matic? I need, this man put on his application, he wanted to be a traitor because he wanted to prove that being a traitor is easy and that Dan was just really bad. And then he did so much worse.
Alex, your reaction is exactly what we thought.
Yeah. And I'm like, how could he have, he was like so confident, and he was so confident, and I need you to know production did not know what his plan was. All he would say in that his DR was, big plan coming tonight.
Big plan for tonight.
Big plan. We knew nothing.
If it works out really well, you'll know.
Well, you did warn him.
I turned the camera off.
You did tell him in his DR, so you begged to be a traitor just to be banished night 2 or something like that, and that's what happened. That was before it happened, and it happened. I've got some bits to read real quick. Sorry.
Before we get lost, I want to go back to the Stu thing though, because I, as a person who thought Stu was a traitor, I want to point out that I didn't think it had anything to do with who he is as a person or his personality. It was directly related to his actions in the game and behavior. So I just want to put that on the table and not let that hang there, that it has anything to do with Stu's personality or who he is as a person. It was absolutely related to his actions in the game, and not because he called out names. It was because he defended people who were traitors.
I wanted to say that too, because I never thought Stu was a traitor from the beginning. I think once I was eliminated and watching back, I was like, why does Stu keep defending the traitors, but also the votes that you were throwing out, one of the votes that you threw out was Ingenious. It was odd. I don't think anyone in the beginning sussed out Ingenious as a traitor, and you did. So it was weird that you fell on the Ingenious train when Matic pushed me, Ingenious, and Keisha as faithfuls. So I think it was just the actions that weren't adding up with the faithfuls, the rest of them. So I think that's what, for me, sussed you out a little bit.
Yeah.
Your pitch and everything, when you were under fire, I was like, okay, no, Stu is a faithful and just has played this a little bit too strong in the beginning, I feel like. But I understand, as you are Stu, and I'm pretty sure you were worried about getting banished pretty early like I was. So I get it.
Mm-hmm. I do want to say...
did you see Alex's face, Hayden, when Johnny said that no one was looking at Ingenious? Alex actually did this.
I was wrong, okay?
Alex
I thought it was you, Ingenious.
From the first minute, and then every minute since, Ingenious is playing the best traitor game I've ever seen. Give her the Emmy. Give her everything. She's such a traitor.
Every traitor in the beginning.
Okay. Tell Ingenious not to kill me tonight.
She literally voted every traitor back to back in the beginning. Why would she be a traitor, Alex?
It was a good read. Okay, can I explain? So I Okay, so I think it was really after Maddox was such a disaster that I was like, so I think it's what honestly got me so in a tailspin about people. Like I was like, Maddox was so bad, so I just was like, the traders are probably playing the most faithful, clear games, and Ingenious was just so outwardly faithful that I was like, I feel like she's totally just snowing us all right now. I mean, that was one of two people that really snowed me in the opposite way was Carla, but which we'll get to later. But like, Ingenious was like, I was like, you're so good at like every time you came on, I was like, oh my god, Ingenious is so good at this. She must be a traitor because I was like, it's just so it was so like everything you said was so good, and you also were really good at like you didn't say too much ever, but you were really good at asking the right questions, and I was like, oh, Ingenious isn't saying a lot back, but she's asking smart questions. So I was totally convinced. Danny, when you were murdered, Danny went right to my DR and was like, I was like, I cannot wait to read you at the reunion. I died.
We were getting 8 minutes of voice notes a day about Ingenious is a traitor, and I love her for it. Like he was standing.
Like, Ingenious is the best traitor ever. It's so hard.
I think Ingenious got the same treatment I did, which is that you're a great player, so you must be a great trader. But it's like, I can be a great faithful, so listen. Like Ingenious was spot on with some of her reads, so it's like listen to the reads of what you term as a great player as a faithful.
Why do you think they kept me in?
We have to hype up Ingenious because she's one of, like, honestly, she's one of the best to ever play traders. I'm telling you from the community, like, one thing about her, she can clock a damn trader. I'll tell you that. Yep. She can clock a trader.
She was production. She was making me nervous. Mm-hmm. I felt she was smarter than me, and that was stressful as the host. But I did get an audience question, and it's anonymous, so I can't say who asked it, but they want to know. I want to read it word for word. Why did the theory about Daddy Mike being a traitor because he's good looking die out? Yes, Mike, people were finding you attractive, and that was making you suspicious. Would you like to speak on that?
That's the most ridiculous theory I've ever heard.
I feel like
that? It was cast members saying.
Did you send this question in to Danny anonymously?
No, it was from a real fan.
Not that you're not a good-looking guy, but it just felt like that's something you would do is send that to Danny anonymously and say, "Ask this question, please." But,
do you think that your looks helped you succeed in the game?
I don't.
I will say there were cast members commenting on your handsomeness, and we loved having you as the season hottie. But I do want to talk about Mike because he was someone that was a very, like, I felt he was being pretty faithful and just very, like, frazzled, yet a lot of people were suspecting him as being a traitor, but, like, if you watch the show, like, the traitors never play that confused and that frazzled. So does anyone want to touch on what they think happened with Mike?
Can I just read some bits real quick because it's been like 10 minutes since they sent them. So Ashley T cheered 100 bits. Thank you, Ashley T. And Jayla cheered 100 bits. Bits for Livy. Thank you. Sorry, quick pause and continue what you're saying.
I was just going to say, I feel like Mike was just loud and wrong. Like, that's so faithful. And that's, is this your first Traders game?
It is.
Typically, your first Traders game, faithfuls are loud and wrong. Like, that's just what it is. So I feel like that's probably what kept you in the game, to be honest, because if I was a traitor, I would have kept you. Like, yes, let's keep the faithful that's loud and wrong.
I wanted to banish Mike, but not because he was a traitor, but because I just wanted to banish Mike. But I was also like, Mike would kill me if he was a traitor, so I was like, I want Mike to be a traitor just because I want an excuse to banish him. But I was like, I can't in good faith vote for Mike because I don't think Mike is a traitor.
I have a question for you too, Mike, because obviously you played a great game. You made it to the fire ceremony. But the last vote, I want to ask about the last vote because you were very much, you were not voting with BJ. Do you regret that decision, or what was your thinking on that decision? Because I think, well, if you had voted with BJ, it would have been a tie. It would have been a whole another thing, but yeah.
Ask BJ that question too. Both of them.
Yeah, this is kind of a double question for you guys. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I knew Hayden and I knew Arena were traitors when Stu left. I knew at that point they were traitors. And I couldn't really pinpoint the third person. And I would go back and forth between Carla was off my radar, right? So it was between Alex and Mason. I was like, who is this third person? And I figured, all right, now hopefully, I really did think I was going to get murdered before the finale, because that's my luck. When I made it on, I'm like, okay, now and I even said it in my DR. I said, okay, I need to turn on the traitor angels right now. I knew BJ was no longer a traitor really early on, and his name getting pushed. And I was like, I got to keep deflecting his name off of people and try to push it. And that's why I jumped in with the whole Ingenious thing, to try to get that out of the way. And I don't know. I felt like my plan was to go to the end with Carla, BJ, and myself, and have Hayden there, and have Hayden's vote on getting Carla and BJ out. I mean, I wanted to go to the end with BJ and use Hayden to get Carla and the other person out. So there was the two of us. I think what screwed me over was I wasn't expecting Carla to be a BJ, to be a traitor, and it just threw me off. Because I thought she was going to vote. I thought she was going to vote out Arena at that point, and I thought we would have been good. And when she didn't, I was like, fuck, she's a traitor. And I was like, well, now what? It's going to tie, and I don't know how we're going to get out of this.
Well, BJ, right, but you said you knew that Hayden, at that point, you knew that Hayden and Carla was a traitor. Why wouldn't you put BJ to go
Arena wasn't in at that point, I think. Arena was already
right. I feel like, I feel like I thought Hayden would probably take me further than Arena if it came down to.
No, Arena was gone. Else. This is when you're at the 4. You're at the 4.
Why did you vote Carla instead of Hayden?
I really thought BJ was going to vote Carla. And then,
he said he was voting Hayden like 75 times.
I know. I don't know.
I think you both should have flipped, but I mean...
The faithfuls had given up, and you were like, fuck you, Carla. It doesn't matter. That's how
I mean, why did you vote me when you knew it was Hayden and Arena, and I said it's Hayden, Arena, and Alex, and I was wrong about Alex, but you could have backed me up and said, yes, let's vote Hayden, let's vote Arena.
Yeah.
Because he had people he wanted to go to the end with. He said,
right, but I'm saying, you were playing a traitor's game when we needed members for faithfuls at that point.
At a certain point, because I would have been gone. They would have cut me next. So I did not, I knew.
Who was they? I clearly said who I thought was the traitors. You needed to play the faithful numbers.
And we should have done Arena that night, Keisha. It was my other option.
I would have done Arena.
We should have done.
I knew Leah wasn't a traitor. I went with the majority of the traitors, and I knew you weren't a traitor anymore, Keisha. And I went with the majority because I felt like if I didn't vote with them, they would have cut me and I wouldn't have made it to the finale.
I don't think they ever would have cut you.
The traitors knew exactly who to keep around that was just going to...
Oh, yeah. But making it to the finale with the traitor is still losing because they win the money if they're there.
I think there's a fine line between playing this game as a complete faithful and playing this game as a complete traitor. I think there needs to be a balance. I think you need to turn on both parties to get far in this game. Because if you're 100% all in on being a faithful, it's not going to work for you because you're going to get cleared and someone's going to cut you, right? If you're 100% traitor in this game, like I'm really surprised Arena wasn't cut earlier because she would not vote at all with anybody else, like myself. Like, look at our track record. I think it was just me and Arena who did not vote for.
And I think that helped clear her.
No, and Mike, I agree with you. Because I was a person who was trying to play the balance of not being obvious when I
Me too.
My point was when we were down to the point where the vote mattered because of the exchange, and I kept saying I think there's still 3 traitors in the game, where that vote, my vote was the one that swapped out the numbers and it mattered. That's what I'm saying. At that point, if you know who the traitors are, you have to speak up and shift the numbers because it really does become a fait accompli.
I believe that the Keisha vote was the turning point. At that, I understand the game of playing with your traitor angels and being on the traitor side, but once it was final 7,
we were done.
You had to get the traitor or the faithfuls weren't winning. But I do want to just move on. We can come back later if we want, but I want to ask BJ, how frustrating was it for you to just know who the traitors were and you just could not convince the other faithfuls? Like how, like you looked frustrated, but I want to give you the chance to talk about it.
So bad for BJ.
It was frustrating, but at the same time, it's like I was talking to all of the traitors at the same time, you know, so convincing them of what I know, they're like, oh, we know, you know. So, but me and Alex were on the same page this entire game. So when he agreed with me, that was comforting. So I was always bouncing ideas off of Alex and also Ingenious, because Ingenious was 100% on everything. So when people were saying, like, the next day after Ingenious was murdered and saying, yeah, you guys got into like a heated argument, so you're obviously you killed her. It's like, no, we had a discussion. Like, that's just how we talk. I mean, like, I don't know, but it was frustrating, but I knew once Keisha was gone, that was the end of the game. I mean, especially when you explain the tiebreaker rules, there's no way of us winning. Even if Mike and I voted the same, one of us was toast, and then the traitors would have just, you know, got rid of the other one. So it wouldn't have mattered. Once Keisha was gone, it was GG's.
So there was something. So everyone was saying it was either a frame job on you, BJ, or that it was obviously not you because it was an obvious frame job with murdering Ingenious. But something I remember, I don't remember if it was in Arena's DR or if it was in the traders meeting, but you said that Ingenious, that night before you murdered her, like said that she knew it was you or something, and it wasn't on stream. But did that happen? Did I make that up, or did that happen?
No, it was on the stream. She jumped into a breakout room, and all the traders were in there.
So why did no one think it was Arena because of Ingenious saying that?
I mean, I did. She was one of my two options going into that night. It was either Arena or Keisha, and I just felt like there was more push on Keisha, and obviously because they were traders. So I thought it could have been both of you, but yeah, it was my bad.
And I was
to be fair, I went to Arena and I looked her straight in the face and said, I know you're a traitor. So I kind of fucked up a little bit. Because then I was like, listen, I need to survive. Because I went to Arena and was like, you a traitor.
I think you're underselling it. You went in a room with Arena and said, Arena, I know you're a traitor. Don't murder me, Arena. Like, you were like begging for your life. And Arena's like, I'm a faithful. And you're like, don't lie to me. Don't kill me.
And I was like, okay, she's gotta die.
Like, let me just
killed moments later.
That BJ's a fucking traitor or something. I'm so sorry, BJ.
It's okay. I think you saying that kept me alive because
okay, period. All right.
So.
Definitely.
I was so upset when it was coming for you. When I was like, you know, murdered. I was like, no, please don't do this to my BJ.
I do want to highlight what Alex said when he was like, he felt like it was easier to push the votes on someone. I think a lot of people got banished because people just wanted to be in the majority, like it was a regular org where you just want to be in the majority. But I think that hindered people because a lot of people were actually right, but they weren't voting how they thought because they were scared of not being in the majority. And I think that people need to really think of this as a completely different game than a Survivor or Big Brother. And being in the majority doesn't matter. It's voting out traitors is the only thing that matters.
Yeah, and that's why for me, when Callie brought up Mitch and was so convincing, she was 100% like so dangerous. Her and Ingenious were the two. So those were definitely our biggest.
Listened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't spoken to Jesse yet, so I do want to ask him a question because he was out pretty early, and then I know he watched everything religiously. Is there anything you noticed watching the stream that you feel like the people in the game maybe didn't notice, or things you picked up on? I will say Jesse was telling us every day who he thought was the traitors and almost wrong every time, but
what you talking about? I got Arena and Mitch right.
But you gave 3 names every day, and then you never got all 3 right. But
no, I never got all 3 right.
Do you regret being so loud And
no, because I feel like you need to be vocal, and a lot of people weren't vocal. A lot of people weren't saying shit. Information needs to be spread, and that's the big thing in this game, and that's why the Traitors won, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I think another reason the Traitors won is I don't know if the Faithfuls used the shield as it was intended. The Traitors knew who had the shield every single night, and most nights it was just Carla who had it. Like, she kept getting it, and they never had to really worry about that. There was only like one night they were worried, and they wouldn't even have to be worried. Mason told Irina they had it, and they were just like, maybe Mason's lying to you. Like, but he wasn't.
They were so Carla and Hayden were convinced that I was lying to Irina. It was so
started
funny.
double guessing myself. I was like, guys, I know Mason wouldn't lie to me about this.
Well, there was also the night where Carla and Alex got a shield, and they didn't know Alex. But that was
the only shield they didn't know was that one Alex night. I do think if there's another season, people should not say who they're voting for.
Yeah.
For the shield. I liked that night where everyone was kind of like, let's not talk about it. Let's just talk about the banishment now, and someone will get shielded, and no one will know. Because I think the shields, if you guys would have had one successful shield, you would have had like the balance of power back, and you would have known a lot more.
I actually don't know if
that's
that was...
why when everybody got upset that I lied about getting the shield, I'm like, no, that's the point. That's the one thing Faithful should lie about, is where the shield is.
Yeah.
You want the Traitors to not know where the shield is. That's an obvious thing. Why are Faithfuls upset that the Traitors don't know where the shield is? Like, that's insane to me.
They
I thought more people were going to lie about it. I thought my strategy would be at the end of every Zoom say, by the way, I got the shield, because then they'd have that little sliver of doubt, and I would live every night. Like, so I was shocked that no one else lied besides Keisha.
It's really hard to get...
Who tied with me for the shield?
Carla.
I just want to say this. I knew when Carla was asking for the shield, I said, ain't no motherfucking way she is worried. Why is Carla so worried? And when she did not say she got the shield because it was between her and Alex, I said, that's a motherfucking traitor.
That's so true.
I do...
Nobody.
Oh, sorry. Finish what you're saying, because okay. I want to say one of my theories on it, though, is maybe going against what Daniel was saying about the shield, is because what I was worried about was that the Traitors were just going to vote together for the shield vote every time, so then they'd have a large portion of the vote every time, and if the Faithfuls voted randomly, they were going to get the shield. So, like,
that's what I was gonna say.
It's sort of a balance of you need to be secret about who you're voting, but you also need to work together and vote for the same person.
Because they could easily talk the night before and be like, tonight is Carla's night, tonight is Irina's night, tonight is Maddox's night. Like, that's not hard to do for them, because they have private conversations, whereas
we really should have been pushing that last night after Keisha left. We really should have, that night that Keisha left, we should have really had a plan for trying to get it onto Mason or BJ or someone that was vulnerable.
I am thinking of ways to rework it. Because I do think that the Faithfuls were at a disadvantage with, they just always knew who had the shield, so I am looking into that.
I think what we should do, if we do this again, I already said this in production, that the Traitors should not be able to vote on the shield. And that's that.
I also think they should not be able to recruit and kill the same night, because they never get to do that in the show.
They did get to do that in the show. They usually don't, but it has happened on the show.
I think it can happen. Blackmails usually. It's only blackmails usually that they get to do it.
No, I think it can happen. I just don't think it should happen every single time. Like, what happened this time was we got 3 traitors out of 4 nights, but they were recruiting and murdering. So they were getting rid of us, and we were getting rid of them. But at the same time, they were gaining, and we weren't gaining whenever we lost somebody.
Because that was really the whole thing the last night going in. The only hope that I really had was maybe there weren't 3 traitors. Maybe there were only 2. Maybe it was only Hayden and Irina. And then Carla could have voted with us. That's why I was pitching so hard to Carla.
So they were getting an advantage, although we started out strong.
See, in modern traitors, they let you decide either to recruit or to kill. They let you choose between the 2. At least that's what I've noticed.
And I don't really care what they do on the show. I'm just talking about, like, logistically in any game, they were gaining while we were losing.
Disadvantage towards the Faithfuls. That's why.
Let me just explain. The reason we did it this way is, like, we're not a big production company. I didn't have the ability to time that. All I had was these 8 shows and the 1-hour slots. And if I didn't make that a rule, I wouldn't have been able to plan how many people were there each night and what kinds of things that we could do. And it was just not easy. I have thought about that, and moving forward, I am going to do it differently, and I'm just going to have make more shows, but we won't know when the finale could come earlier than the last show on the schedule. Like, there's no other way. Like, it's just hard to do that not on the real TV show, just because I only have your time for these days and these times, you know? I agree with you in terms of fairness.
The fire banishment doesn't have to be down to 3 people. It could be when it's 5. You know, it could be an unknown quantity. It could be 6 or 5, depending on how that process works at the beginning with how many people they get. And we don't know, you don't know. It just depends on how that beginning part works. You know what I mean? And that can still all happen in one night because that's quicker.
That's definitely something that will be changed moving forward.
I do feel like we need more time. Like, we need more time.
But do you want more time? Like, do you think I can get a cast that's willing to be here more than an hour every night? That's my concern.
I feel like maybe you should like open up a room an hour before the show, and people can join or not join. It's up to them. They can decide if they want to jump in, or they can decide if they want to come during the show. But that can give people the opportunity and the choice just to talk, just to have conversations.
I think 30 minutes more, you're good. Like, we need 30 minutes.
30 extra minutes would be fine.
To talk.
Yeah, I think 30 minutes is enough, and I agree with Jesse. 30 minutes before for a combo is.
Yeah, I don't mind more time. I just didn't think that I could get 20 people to want to give me that much of their lives. But I mean, I think you guys all seem to have a good time, and if you could help me out and tell people when we have another season how much fun you had and things that could be
helpful. Yeah, because it was great. I think I agree, if we had a little more time to talk, I think it would have been helpful, and I think all of us would have stayed an extra half hour at that point. I think I was so into it, I would have stayed an extra hour. I was obsessed.
I love
that. The problem with doing 30 minutes after is if you're a trader, you're doing 30 minutes after plus your trader time after, which is hard to do it after. So 30 minutes before cuts out. It helps either way. I have to have that extra time.
Because I feel like all of us were craving that time. We were craving that time.
You know, people were really wanting more time. It was hard.
Yeah. But I think that's also because it was so fun because we didn't get to talk ever during the day, which was for me, that's the only time I've ever played a game like that. And I think for most of us, and that was just what made this so hard because I was off spiraling like a maniac all day long. Like, it's ingenious. It's this person because I didn't talk to anyone.
And for me, you guys know, and Hayden, I want to apologize in advance for ever kicking you out of the room. You know I would never do that. I love being on stream. I have no problem talking on stream. But for me, I think having just that small window of time where you can have a private conversation with someone if you are faithful, because traders get to have a private conversation. But the idea that you can have a private conversation with you don't know who is faithful, but if you think they are faithful, to come up with a plan or a thought that isn't on stream, and heck, they might end up being a trader, but to have a private conversation that isn't on stream in a game like this is very crucial. This isn't a vote out game. This isn't a regular elimination BB. This is literally traders where private conversations are needed to plot and plan, where traders and everybody else doesn't get to see what you're talking about and coming up with to like maybe set up a scheme that could come to fruition at the round table.
And I get it as a player. I get it as a player
too. Like the banishment. Sorry, like the traders. You can offer that to the viewers. They can watch it after the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I get it as a player. It's tough because it's like I'm also trying to stream it for the viewers, and like if people are asking me to leave, it's not good for the viewers. So it's like I guess it's but I understand completely as a player why you want the private conversation.
Yeah, we also, and that's why I wasn't suggesting that you leave. I was saying that's why if we did 30-minute thing, not film, that would be the time. So then we're not doing that during the show.
No, that was more because I know Alex was asking me, and I didn't want him to think that I was like. I understand why you were asking, Alex, and you probably watched stream back and saw I was getting frustrated, but I'm not frustrated.
I totally get it. I get it from the production point of view, of course. Yeah. I was at that point, I was like, if I say Arena for sure right now, I'm like, I know it's because at that point I was pretty sure it was Arena and Hayden the last night, and I was like, after Keisha was not, and I was like, BJ, we need to come up with a plan, and it was on stream. I was like, so that was the only reason, but it was because that they got to see it, then it would have been.
I just want to. I had something. Would it get me my thought back, Livy?
Well,
about the extra time. Okay, as a player, I completely understand, but I do think this season, unlike any other org I've ever seen in this community, we had actual viewers. Like, we had people that were tuning in every single night, texting their thoughts, writing their thoughts. Like, we had people that, like, this was their show, and they told me they only felt that way and they only really wanted to watch it because, unlike other orgs, they were actually seeing all of it. They weren't, like, missing things. And I do think, you don't want to say something on the stream, but there's always like 6 breakout rooms. And, Hayden's not going to chase you. If Hayden's in the room and you really want to tell something to someone, say, let's go to another room. Hayden, don't come. That's kind of better than kicking him out, I would say. It's just leaving him.
Here's my suggestion on if you ever want. Here's my wait. Wait? I want to say this real quick. If you ever want to kick me out of a room, don't ask me. Don't say anything about it. Just be boring, and I will go to another room.
Start singing.
Or sing.
Come on and talk to us.
But please don't sing. Don't do that.
No, I get that, but like when it happened for me, I was legit like, BJ, let's go to this room. We went to that room. People who I thought were traitors that turned out to be actual traitors were in the room. And I was like, BJ, let's go to this other room. And like, because Hayden came too. We went to the other room, and Hayden knew obviously I was trying to sell something juicy. Hayden followed. So like, it clearly I was trying to sell something juicy.
I'm gonna say this, Keisha.
So that's what happened.
That looked really sus. I'm like, what?
And I knew it did, but I also was willing to get killed that night because I was ready to be like, these are the traitors. Like, I wanted the faithful to win, and we were at the low numbers. I was like, this is the thing. Like, somebody's dying. I'm willing to let it to be me, but I want the traitors to be known.
Scarlet cheered 100 bits. Said, I agree with Danny for once in my life. LOL, no privacy. Go to a different room with a laptop.
Scarlet agrees with me more than she thinks. But I will say, speaking of Scarlet and other specs, I know a lot of you would rewatch the shows when planning for the next day. And when you would see people in the chat, like spectators that had no information, saying, I know blank's a traitor, and they're really active. Were you taking into account the feelings that spectators had, or completely ignoring it?
Ignore.
I will say,
because that's not helpful.
At least towards the end, the spectators had better reads. They had better reads than the faithfuls.
The specs were dumb. The second they were even targeting Keisha, the specs had it. They had solved the puzzle. But
what was it?
I wanted. The first time the specs were nice to me. I appreciated the specs in this org. This was the best spec experience I had in my life. Specs
because we gave them a real show because we didn't let you talk to each other. Like I really think we gave them an act. Like, this is a show that people could really watch. They really could. They could fall in love with the characters.
I do want to. I feel like not talking to anybody during the day. I loved it.
I feel like we have. Wait, sorry.
It's so refreshing. So refreshing not having to talk to you guys until
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's why people are willing to give an extra 30 minutes because you're not dealing with it all day.
Exactly. I'll take the 30 minutes. I don't want to deal with you guys all day.
I like the time constraints to 1 hour. You can't talk to anyone. Everything is done in that 1 hour time slot window, and you have an hour to get your thoughts out. Like, that's perfect.
Conspiring all day.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. So I do want to.
And that was all day. It was horrible.
I want to.
Me too. It's worse.
That's why I only do minis.
So I want to talk to someone. We haven't really talked that much to SIE. I did have a question for SIE. So I saw you after you were murdered. You were saying people should start putting the pieces together, but you never said who that was. Who were you saying people should put the pieces together for when you were murdered?
Me.
Was it Mike?
Yeah. I think that's why I was killed overall, because I think I was so hardcore on those two, and they were going to be like, let's use it like as a way to like get away from them. So I guess I'll ask, like, is that why you killed me?
Yeah, that's definitely why we also, you were very clear faithful. We were definitely killing clear faithfuls. But definitely the Mike and Keisha vote, that was very beneficial to us. And I feel like you kind of pushed into that a little bit, which helped. So yeah, we were always trying to cause little fights with each other. Not cause it, but like we were capitalizing on it all the time.
So also, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I do have to start heading out soon. So if people have like final questions for each other.
Oh, I want to ask Carla a question then.
Okay.
Our winner.
Oh,
she's been hiding.
Okay, Carla was off camera, so I didn't even know she was here. Okay, sorry.
Yes, Carla, I guess you don't have to show us your face, but you have to answer my question. So, I think you were one of, if not like the best faithful before you were recruited. Everyone believed you were faithful. You were like the perfect amount of loud and quiet, the perfect amount of like strong and soft. Like you were so good. And then when you became a traitor, no one noticed the change in you, but I noticed that you just spent a lot more time saying you're confused, saying you're thinking. I want to know, was that your strategy, or was that now that you were a traitor, you were thinking because everything was different for you? Like, was that an act, or was that how you really felt?
That was like both. Like, I wanted to keep like showing people that I was a faithful. I don't want to like be too quiet either, but I was also trying to think. It was kind of hard because, I started late. So I was trying to like find a balance of like talking to people and also trying to like stay hidden and not be seen as much with the Hayden and Arena. And I know a lot of people were like counting on my votes for like more towards the end, which was much harder for me to like defend my logical reasonings of why I voted where and stuff. So it just became harder, and so it's kind of both. It was an act, and sometimes I was like really nervous. So
I have a question for Arena. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Arena, so when you were in the when it was a tie and you were in the breakout room with Alex, Alex had such a compelling argument, like, Arena, this is your time to like play the game for yourself, right? And was there ever like a doubt where like, you know what, I can't cut Hayden, but I could potentially cut Carla, and maybe me and Hayden can do this, or I can try to figure out a way to the end, like, or were you like, no, I'm not trying.
I knew I had no chance after that. If I had voted out either Hayden or Carla, they would have voted me out. You guys, you would have had the numbers. You, Alex, and BJ. I knew that it was either sacrifice myself or the faithfuls were going to win.
Even when Alex said like I would not vote you out the next round.
I would have done Hayden, but then we would have done Arena the next round.
Yeah, yeah, I knew that. I think that me and Alex both knew. I knew he knew. I knew, you know what I mean?
And you knew I knew. It wasn't like you were actually
we were going to win or lose in this conversation, so there was no point. We were kind of both on the same page.
I think Alex would have been a better person to flip on that than Arena had zero reason to flip. Alex, I would say, had 0.01 reason
I was really
just
surprised.
in case.
Alex, I was really surprised you didn't flip on me. Like,
because Alex could have went the route of, y'all are traitors, vote each other out so you can have more of the money and hope to sneak in there with BJ or like he had at least a 0.01. Arena had 0 if she, like 0 without the other traitors.
But even if I had stayed, they were so locked in. I mean, they were gonna vote me and BJ out. I mean, I think, but my bigger question is, and I know Carla probably is into this, but Carla was, yes, I think that Carla maybe shifted in energy, but maybe you just killed everyone that blocked that, because most of us in the game, me and BJ, for example, had no idea it was Carla. And like, I truly believe that if Carla had just said, fuck it, I'm going to vote with the Faithfuls the first round and voted Arena out, and then if Carla went to the end at that point, BJ and I would have ended the game in Final 3. I think
So then, Carla, did you ever at one point, like during that, like saying like, all right, I need to cut a traitor right now? Or were you always going to stick with them?
I thought about it because I did feel like I was another way I could win without them. Yeah. But I was such a late addition where I would have felt bad because Arena started from day 1. She put in more work than me, and then Hayden was like, night 2, night 3. So I would have just felt bad about it.
Gotcha.
I just want to hop in and say that Carla, I just recently watched the rest of the finale today, and the way that you pivoted to Mike after I left, that was impressive. Like that, to me, I was like, damn, like it almost had. I was surprised that BJ was even considering it. Maybe he wasn't being real about that. I don't know, but I was impressed with that.
You were just trying to get the votes all over the place, I'm assuming, right, BJ?
On the last vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was always going Hayden. I was always safe Hayden.
Yeah, you're just trying to, because that was the only hope, is maybe try to get them to split the votes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, even if it was a tie, we were fucked, so it didn't matter.
We should have just shut up and then not said anything, and me, you, and Mike voted Arena, and then maybe let one of them vote BJ. But that final 6, but we didn't. I really kind of thought Carla was faithful still, so.
I think
Not
Carla
one
played.
person clocked
Like,
Carla.
Carla-
Like, not one player ever
That's what I was
clocked
trying
her.
to say. Like, that's the thing. Like, is playing with Carla. Like, from
She
the
was
past,
on my
the
list
past
before I
couple years.
left, but it was last.
I feel like I clocked Carla, but I never said
So I only had 4 people. I had Hayden, Alex, Arena, and Carla. Carla was
also,
the last name.
I feel like every time I play a camera game with Carla, or seen Carla play on camera, she does kind of, you do, Carla, get kind of like, you think a lot and you always process things.
That's what I was trying to say.
Like you always just do that. So I get it. Like for me, because I have seen you play, you're always like, I don't know. Like it's just kind of what you do, even if you're in power. Like, so
That was the weird part. Because playing with her and all that time, like, I was like, okay, Carla is faithful. She always can't be a traitor. But then I got like, then I was like sussing her out. But I was keeping that to myself, and I was like, I don't like. Carla can be a very good cover for a very long time. Like that's the thing. Like Alex said, she usually is like, I don't know, I'm confused. Like that's when I like was like, okay, that Carla's the faithful. But then after I left, I was clocking something, and I was just like, wait. And then I started believing she was a traitor, and then I really didn't believe until the end of it. But I say she did very well.
I should have wondered why I kept staying alive, because I watched some of the turrets, and Arena and Hayden both wanted to kill me a lot. And Carla, you were my traitor angel, so thank you for keeping me alive.
So I got some bits message to read here. Sorry, 1 second. Jayla cheered 100 bits. Said, happy everyone now knows Carla like I do, a liar and a gaslighter. Thanks, Jayla. Also, I do want to say, I feel like Carla, one of the reasons she was such a great traitor was because she was very good at not saying, like, not giving names, but also still talking. So she wasn't too quiet like Hayden, even though Hayden did great too. And she wasn't too loud. Like, it was very in the middle, which I think
Bit
was
of a Goldilocks situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question to the traders?
Go ahead.
Yeah. When is your card out, Hayden?
So I do want to say that too. I'm going to order my Uber now, and I will end the stream when my Uber gets here. So.
Okay.
So that's how much time we
Yeah,
have.
well, Isai, you can ask the last question, and then I'll wrap up.
Okay. So to the traders, who were people you knew you were not going to recruit, and why?
That's a good question. I did not want to recruit Keisha because I felt like Keisha was gonna either turn on us and try to, I don't know, like kind of pivot. I was worried about that. I was also worried about people that were gonna say no. Like I thought if we recruited Ingenious, she was gonna say no because she said that, so I believed her. And I thought she was just gonna suss us all out and vote us out, and so I was worried about that. We were also thinking about, I wanted to recruit another girl, so I was looking at women to recruit. I was thinking Leah for a little bit, but then I was thinking that she was going to get voted out and could potentially also turn on us. We were thinking about that, so we thought Carla was the best choice altogether. So I was also wanting to recruit Mason a lot, but it just never made sense at the time.
I would have loved to see
I would have
Mason
said no.
as a traitor.
You would have said no?
I said I would say no. I was the one on the first show who said, if you try to recruit me, I'm going to say no. But secondly, I've played multiple traitor games, and I've never, ever turned on a traitor. And I've won as a traitor.
I haven't watched too
2
many.
out of 3 times I've played.
Yeah.
Like,
Ingenious.
I played a traitor game, and I never turned on a traitor.
Ingenious, would you have said yes?
So don't recruit me, because I'm turning on all your motherfuckers.
I knew it. That's why I thought
Ingenious, would you have said yes or decline?
What?
If they recruited you, would you have said yes or decline?
All the time. If it was like recently, hell fucking yeah, I'm recruiting you.
We would have fun, I think.
My Uber is here in 2 minutes, everyone. My Uber is here in 2 minutes.
All right, we're done, everybody. I just want to thank you all for like a really, really special season. I think this is one we're going to remember for a long time, and I can be me and Hayden are really, really proud of ourselves and all of you. Every one of you was a great addition. I have no casting regrets. You all brought it, and you all did well and you played your roles. And I just really want to thank you guys and wish you best of luck in your future endeavors.
Mm-hmm. And congrats to Carla and Hayden. And I'm the Hayden with the wine here, so I guess I'll congratulate myself. So.
Thank you,
congrats on another stream. Well done.
Thank you. All right,
guys.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Black Market coming soon for all who are watching. Okay, bye.